up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, Eli Productions. How's it going today, guys? The past couple days, I was able to watch the new show on Netflix called You. Oh my gosh, this show is amazing, you guys. I really had a good time watching it. It's very crazy though, so I want to discuss that with you in this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. And also, if you're coming back, welcome back. Also, if you want to give my social media accounts a follow, the links will be in the description. Fair warning, I will be talking about the show You, so there will be spoilers. Just in case you don't want to listen to the spoilers, you can click off now. So yeah, let's talk about the show You. So I don't want to really talk about like every single episode of the show because that'll just get boring for you guys. But yeah, I want to discuss like some of my favorite parts of the show. Yeah, it's a really good show, you guys. I think you guys should really watch it. It's like a psychological thriller with some love stories in it. And it's really good, you guys. It starts off with this guy named Joe, and he's a store clerk. He's a manager of a bookstore, sorry. And we get into, it's not him really talking in the beginning of the episode. It's his mind. It's not him talking. And then a woman walks into the shop, and he's just observing everything about this woman, and he's like talking really strange about this woman, like stalker wise. And that's when we get to when we meet the woman. Her name's Beck. And throughout that scene, he's just talking out through his mind about her, and he doesn't even know the girl. He's just talking about her. And then they talk for a little bit, then she leaves, and then he decides, oh yeah, he found out her name. Her name's Beck. And so he looks up her name. Throughout the first episode, he starts stalking her Facebook or Instagram or everything, all her social media accounts. And then he finds her address. He starts stalking her then, and so on, so on. And then throughout the episode, we see that Beck has a lot of problems and everything, yada, yada, yada. And then we see that Joe's just really obsessive with her because he keeps following her every single where, and he doesn't even know her. That's the problem, because he had one interaction with her, all of a sudden he knows her. He doesn't really know her, but he's obsessing over her because of this, and it's kind of crazy. But at the end of the episode, because throughout the episode we see that she's with a guy, and Joe thinks he's not good for her. So at the end of the episode, he gets the guy, he tricks him to thinking that because the guy has like a bunch of, he's like a rich boy, and then he has this company, like a soda company that sucks. I heard, oh, that's what they're saying at this the show, that his sodas suck. And so he tricks him to thinking like he's gonna be like a sponsor, and he texts him and stuff like that, thinking like he's another person. And he brings him down to his bookseller at the bookstore where he works at, or no one goes down there just by him. He brings him out there, he knocks him out with a mallet, and so that's like basically episode 1. And then throughout the show, with the boyfriend, or not supposed to be the boyfriend, the guy that she hooks up with, his name's Benji. And so he messes with Benji a lot. Well, he doesn't really mess with him, but he just really talks to him and tries to get into his mind and tries to tell him that he's not good for Beck, and that Beck's gonna be the one for him, for Joe. And so yeah, and then eventually, I think it was in episode 3, Benji dies because of Joe, because Joe poisoned, or not poisoned, but he put because he's allergic to supposedly peanuts, so he put peanut oil in one of his coffees, and then he dies. He chokes, he like has an allergic reaction to it, and he dies from that. And so yada yada yada, and that's like episode like 3, he dies. And throughout this, Joe actually is starting to talk to Beck, because in the first episode, Joe saved Beck from a train accident. It was out of nowhere, it just happened. It wasn't actually supposed to happen. It was just an accident that happened. So Joe saves Beck from a train that almost crushes her on the train tracks, and then he gets her email, and then yada yada yada. Then he starts talking to her throughout the email, and they go on a couple dates, I think. But yeah, also in that first episode, when he's obsessing over Beck, he actually gets a time to get into her apartment somehow through his psychological craziness. He somehow gets into her apartment. He takes up some of her stuff, like her journal, underwear, and like a tank top or something like that. And then he does get her phone eventually because she left it on the train tracks and she thought she lost it, but he took it from her. So, yeah, Joe's really crazy, you guys, throughout this whole season. Um, yeah, it's a crazy show. Um, he does get to kill several people throughout the show because he's so in love with Beck, even though he really didn't know her at the beginning. He didn't even know her, and he just started loving her because she talked to him. That's how crazy it was. But then there's some parts where you feel for Joe and how crazy he is, because there's this friend named Peach of Beck, and she's actually really obsessive of Beck, and then she goes crazy for her. She has photos on her computer just in case she wants to blackmail her for some reason, but she's really obsessive also of Beck. And so we get to a point where we're like, are we rooting for Joe? Are we rooting for Peach? What's the deal here? Where you make it seem like you're actually rooting for Joe for some reason, even though he's the psychological crazy guy of the show. So it's crazy, yeah. And so everything happens where with Peach, Joe actually at one point in the show goes into the park where she's running, knocks her out, books it, and thinks she's dead because he was like, I had enough of Peach. And he thought she was dead, but she wasn't. And so they think she has a stalker because of this. And well, because they thought she had a stalker either way because Joe had stolen her computer at one point, and then also because he knocked her out and thought she was dead. So it made it to where Peach would take in Beck and made her think, oh, I need you by my side all the time. So she took her on like a retreat to one of her other houses, and they had a thing there, but it wasn't like they did something, and she wanted to do stuff to her, like with her, but Beck obviously was in love with Joe. But here's the thing, Joe followed them the whole entire time. Joe was in the house the entire time. At one point, Joe had to really pee, because he was he's obsessed with Beck, so he really had no time to go to the restroom, I guess, or anything. So he peed in one of Peach's jars in the house. And so at the end of the episode, we see Beck leave the house, and then Joe's in the house still, but he found one of Peach's guns that she had because she's wanting to keep an eye because she thinks she has a stalker. And then we find out that obviously we knew that Joe was the stalker because she thought she had a stalker. So Peach finds out he was the stalker. Then because Peach found him, knocked him out, put him on the floor, and then they were talking, and she tells him, oh, you're the stalker. And so Joe gets away from her pointing the gun at him. They go outside. She shoots him in the leg. She just grazes him. She thinks he's dead because he's playing dead. And then he comes at her, and then they're on the ground together fighting for the gun, and then you see the panel go up, and she shoots, I guess he shoots her, and then he makes it look like she did a suicide. So yeah, that's how crazy Joe is. All for Beck. He does everything for Beck. And so it's a crazy show, you guys. You need to watch it. It even gets crazier throughout the rest of the season because of certain situations. I don't really want to explain a lot to you guys. I did explain a little bit because I said it was going to be a spoiler talk about this show, but I don't want to explain a lot to you guys because I really want you guys to watch the show. It's a really good show. I enjoyed watching it. I'll probably watch it again sooner or later. But yeah, that's just what I wanted to talk to you guys about the show as I said, I don't want to talk too much about the show. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. If you did, give a thumbs up to the video and subscribe to me. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, that's the end of the video, and I'll see you guys in the very next video. Peace.